Morning to you, welcome along this Tuesday morning, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. We're here all the way until about 9:30 and maybe a little bit longer this morning. There's plenty for us to sink our teeth into and news coming in from around the world that is going to be of interest to you on the show this morning. Before we get into that though, it is one of the all-time great sporting weeks of the year. It ends with a Grand Slam decider when Ireland try and poop the party in the Millennium Stadium, but it's not the Millennium Stadium anymore, it's the Vitality. Duh. It's Vitality. That was a stupid name change.
Well, it's not the Vitality, it's the Principality. Vitality is the Bournemouth Stadium.
Can we start this show again? God damn it. I knew it was an
You need a bit of vitalisation yourself this morning, I think.
If anybody wants to come on board as our coffee sponsor, then I can guarantee that you will get some sweet airtime. Could be a bit nicer than the one
is that pure giddiness that's kind of exuding through your pores at the moment for whatever this week of sport is?
Because of the week, right? It's the end of the Six Nations kind of is the harbinger of the start of decent weather generally.
Yeah.
There are frequently spectacular ends to the tournament that are memorable. Sometimes when you go on those away trips, although I was I had the misfortune to be in the Millennium Stadium when Wales beat Ireland and won that Grand Slam in 2005, and the Welsh fans, they're not good winners.
Are they not?
They're not really good winners. You wouldn't say they're...
Are they good losers?
Yeah, I'd say they're decent losers, yeah. I mean, but they don't rub it in your face. They were definitely like, wah, howling banshee, and that was the men.
And how, so was it just howling kind of in your face? Was it howling in general at the moon sort of thing? Or
both. They were gay-eyed and it was early enough. Absolutely, it was like the most decadent. I've never been to the Kentucky Derby, but I imagine this is what the infield is like at the end of the day. Was
there anything said to you personally?
Not that I remember. I mean, it was just this kind of general sense of, these people are very nice. What's going on here?
They come down from the valleys and they shout in Irish people's face.
There were definitely a lot of shouting.
Yeah, that's...
But I'd recommend going, to see it, so that, you put your anthropologist hat on.
Are they the worst supporters in the world? In a winning vicinity that you've experienced?
I mean, how are the Kerry supporters at winning? Good winners?
Good, bad losers. My brief flirtation with Mayo winners has been dreadful. Absolutely appalling. Horrifying. PTSD inducing.
So this was after they beat Kerry in
2017. I don't really want to talk about it.
Mayo Mick, the chief amongst them.
Kerry won that game. That was 2014.
Okay, yeah. So when...
this is 2017.
What happened?
Replay. Andy Moran. Sorry, I mean Mayo. Beat Kerry.
Was it close?
No, it wasn't. Not in the replay.
Six points most of the game, and then they finished 3.
Something like that, I think, yeah. I don't really want to talk. I don't really kind of remember the details of it. Mayo, by far the superior team, deserve to win. The supporters do not deserve anything. So
you're going on the record officially and saying Mayo supporters are the worst winners. You hate Mayo a lot. A lot.
We were making this point the other...
Did they beat you in the league game as well that time that you came back? So that's what started all this.
And Andy Moran Mayo beat us that night as well, which may happen again this weekend. We made this point last week. Is the same thing true for Liverpool fans? Now, I know that's a very harsh thing to say because I haven't been at Anfield and supporting a team against Liverpool when they win, and that's really the only way to gauge how good or how bad a support base is at winning. And I kind of threw Liverpool, Mayo all into the one bucket because of the length of time and how close they've come to winning the sort of desired competition that they want to win. So maybe it is a bit harsh to throw them all in there together, but I guess we'll see once an All-Ireland or Premier League happens how good or bad those fans are. But clearly Wales are number one in some people's eyes.
Well, the show is off to a spectacular start this morning where we've managed to annoy a lot of people in one fell swoop. All of Wales and all of Mayo. Come on. Here's what's coming up on the show this morning. Rugby's Type 5 with Neil Tracy around about 9:05. Working backwards, John Duggan at Cheltenham is going to join us around about 8:45 with his first tips of the week for you. We've got news that Zinedine Zidane is going back to Real Madrid. This is a weird story. This is the whole part of it where an entire country's World Cup hopes are torpedoed after Zidane walks out. And a new manager comes in and he goes, and then the manager after him goes, and then they get Zidane back before the end of the season. Why is he coming back I don't know, it makes no sense at all. Graham Hunter's going to try and sift through the wreckage of that story for us a little bit later on. That's at 8:35. Anthony Moyes, top 10 footballers in the country. This was controversial last year. Owen didn't quite have the stones to put Sean O'Shea in his top 10 last year, but he does this year, right?
Well, this time last year, I don't think anybody would blame me for such a thing.
But you did. You knew in your heart, you were like, this guy's top 10. But you just didn't.
I knew he would be.
You were too cautious.
I think I had David Clifford in the top 10, but not Sean O'Shea, which, as 2018 developed to be, was 100% the correct decision. I was right.
And then straight away, we're going to start with the newspapers. It's with the newspapers that we start, and with the lead story in the Mirror this morning. They're the only ones who have it. Is that... I'm going to grab your Mirror for you now.
It's a messy desk this morning. There's so many Cheltenham supplements just sprawled across the place.
Mcgregor Arrested is the front page headline on the Irish Daily Mirror this morning. UFC star charged with strong-armed robbery in mobile phone smash row. So there is the mugshot that has come from the Miami-Dade, the Miami Beach police. And we're going to talk you through the timeline of what we know here, obviously. Okay, this is not going to be good. Yeah, okay, so we'll start that. Conor McGregor was arrested in Miami overnight. It all stems from an alleged altercation with a fan who was trying to take a photograph outside a Miami Beach hotel. The issue seems to be that he was taken into custody at 5:56 local time under charges of strong-armed robbery, a second-degree felony, and criminal mischief, a third-degree felony. He was released following the payment of $12,500 bail, and there's footage of him being discharged. He's already also posted on Instagram. So there's the arrest sheet, which has the strong-armed robbery. Basically, it's alleged that he took the phone. There's his Instagram story, a picture of a Miami police car. Or is it very wise to be putting pictures up of the police who've just arrested you? Anyway, so that's the Insta story. And then, patience in this world is a virtue I continue to work on. I love my fans dearly. Thank you all. That's the picture of him taken by Pap, of him leaving jail, having been arrested for... so he takes the phone, allegedly, throws it on the ground, stomps on it, and then walks off with the phone. The phone was alleged to be worth $1,000, according to the fan. The police were called. His lawyer has subsequently issued a statement. Last evening, Conor McGregor was involved in a minor altercation over a cell phone that resulted in a call to law enforcement. Mr. McGregor appreciates the response of law enforcement and pledges his full cooperation. And just to put this in some context, obviously, there was the previous arrest in New York in April 2018. Ariel Helwani is this morning reporting that McGregor completed his community service in New York recently, stemming from the incident at the Barclays Centre. His case is officially closed there. So whatever comes of the incident in Miami would not affect his plea deal in New York. So it's not like it's going to be a second strike. But you'd have to wonder if this arrest just ends up going away, and if, you know, the phone can be replaced and something can be smoothed over to prevent another criminal record for McGregor, because maybe the second one might make it difficult to travel freely in and out of the United States. Certainly not something you would want on your record. And they were in Miami celebrating his mother's 60th birthday. There's the picture from Instagram. My mother's 60th birthday party at the Versace mansion. My mother has long been a fan of this fine Italian silk. In fact, we are fans of all the Italian fabrics. And then it has an ad. So the Versace mansion, obviously famous for Gianni Versace being assassinated on the steps of it. I don't know if you saw the follow-up to the People vs. O.J. Simpson. There was a series about that where they delved into the Versace murder. What happened, it was actually a serial killer who shot Gianni Versace on the steps of that mansion, that they're having that 60th birthday all dressed in Versace. So that is the lead story in the newspapers this morning. Some breaking news overnight. Conor McGregor has been arrested and released on bail or bond of 12.5 grand, is what they say. It's bond. So you get more details on that on offtheball.com, and we will continue updating that story as we get some updates for you across this morning. What else is happening?
Well, we're going to be looking at Cheltenham tips a little bit later on, and we'll get to them in a moment, but I think we're going to go through some of the back pages now. I think I've finally managed to sift through all the Cheltenham supplements and got them out of your way.
Going with the tabloids?
We'll start with the Irish Daily Mail this morning, which says, give your all. Schmidt urges Ireland to go full tilt at Wales, and Kingdom boost as Clifford is ready to return. So Kerry David Clifford could make his first appearance of the season in Saturday night's game against Mayo. The Sun then goes with off. Solskjaer is ready to ship out Sanchez on loan, and off as well. Guardiola sweat over keeping Gundogan and Sané. And don't wind up the fans, PFA chief tells the players. So Gordon Taylor warned players not to incite fans with their celebrations, which is an interesting take. Back page of the Irish Daily Star is Lucky Man. That's the headline in relation to Jack Grealish saying himself how lucky he was that the supporter was not carrying a weapon. And Jack goes for glory. It's a part of the Cheltenham coverage there on the back of the Star. That is, of course, Jack Kennedy. The Herald then goes with Liverpool. Munich all in to win. Van Dijk warns Reds of big fight in Bayern return leg. And desire will push us on, says City's Guardiola. It's Manchester City against Schalke in the second leg of their Champions League last 16 encounter tonight. The Daily Telegraph then goes with Look Who's Back. It's a picture of Zinedine Zidane. But the most important picture really is carried on the back of The Guardian, and it is the picture of those jeans and those shoes and those lack of socks worn by the French legend. Zidane steps back into the Bernabeu. He's made a sensational and rather eye-catching return as Real Madrid manager 284 days just after he walked out of the club, having won a third Champions League. The back page of the Mirror then this morning is Enough is Enough. FA's pledge to get tough on thugs after attack. And the Racing Post is, as you can imagine, Dare to Dream. It's a pun on Bouver Dare, bidding for a sensational champion hurdle hat-trick. And at the back page is Teenage Kicks, which is in relation to a young Manchester City side that may line out tonight. And Zidane's return to Real dugout stuns the layers.
Yeah, it stuns everybody. Just to go back to the Mcgregor story, which is on the front only of the Mirror in terms of the newspapers that we have this morning, it wouldn't be a Conor McGregor story without some interjection from Paulie Malignaggi. So what did Paulie have to say? Well, at the Notorious MMA, don't you think you rob your fans enough every time, in capitals, they order one of your fights? They gotta watch you get your ass kicked and quit? Question mark, exclamation mark. If you need a phone that bad, don't sweat it, bro. I'll just put you on my phone plan. Hashtag no balls. Cry laughing emoji. Cry laughing emoji. Sent opportunistically at whatever time he sent it. I mean, Paulie never missed an opportunity to implicate himself in a story and stoke the rivalry that we'll all eventually end up paying a bit of cash for or / illegally finding a stream for the fight when they fight.
Well, you think it's going to be the best fight of all time?
No, I think it's going to be. I think there's proper beef. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if that ever happens. So let's move on to the newspapers. From the broadsheet perspective this morning, Schmidt has won last Six Nations boxer tick in Cardiff. Never won a Six Nations game in Cardiff. Gatland and Wales set for a red letter day. That's Jerry Thornley's piece there. And then France have lost 3 forwards, Wenceslas Lorette, Demba Bamba and Jefferson Poirot in a 7-minute period by the 17th minute, albeit Bamba returns soon after with his head heavily bandaged. So injuries take their toll and carnage likely to continue all the way to Cardiff. These are Six Nations talking points, which is pretty interesting that the level of attrition is just something we've come to expect from international rugby. It's like, you need about 40 players basically if you're going to have a proper World Cup campaign, and that means players who start the tournament at home are going to end up making important contributions across the tournament. Hurling fixtures had to make up a 20-game Super Saturday. A lot of people complaining yesterday about the fact that there are so many games at the weekend and that the Sunday and Monday aren't being used properly. Sunday, obviously, is Ireland Club Finals Day. Tag team Mullins trio poised to make Ruby's Tuesday. So it's a picture of Willie and Ruby having the chats yesterday at Cheltenham. We need to maintain top level to win is the headline on Gary Dawes' piece, which is about the rugby in the Times Ireland edition. And a picture of Dan Levy, who they are speculating might be in line for a recall. And then also the news that the Pro 14 is going to carry on during the World Cup, that the full fixtures hasn't quite been announced just yet, but they have announced a date for it to start. And the Times are making the point that the fixtures were out about 5 months ago for the top 14 in France and the Premiership in England, speculating that perhaps there were some more South African teams who were being lined up for a move to the Pro 14. And then calm before the storm, Mullins and Walsh braced for battle alongside Benedict yesterday. Nice blue skies. Schmidt, France display must be a starting point, saying 50 minutes, not good enough. And Harnedy and Delaney await suspension, fade ahead of relegation clash. So when the bans for the red cards that Seamus Harnedy received and Conor Delaney from Kilkenny received at the weekend will be served is still to be determined. There was a suggestion that initially Cork and Kilkenny were going to toss for who got relegated / into the second part of the first division next year, and then they were like, well, we got some sendings off, so why don't we just play the game? And now it looks like there might be a rule that prevents that game from counting as you expunging your suspension. So back to a toss.
But yeah, there's no reason to play this other than to get rid of those suspensions. So toss is definitely what I would go for if I was in that situation.
Yeah. All right. You are busting some Cheltenham myths for us.
I've literally just been doing it for up until 30 seconds ago while you were going through the broadsheets. I heard nothing you said there while I was just polishing off the rest of these supplements. So I've gone through every Cheltenham supplement that we have in the newspapers this morning. There's about 30 tipsters that I've picked out and basically compiled a little table of who is the consensus horse in each race. So we're going to go through all the races now and tell you who's getting most of the tips from most of the tipsters in the newspapers this morning. And we will start with the Novices Hurdle, which is the first race off at 1:30. And the horse that seems to be leading the way at the moment at odds of 4-1 is Classical Dream. This is the Willie Mullins horse ridden by Ruby Walsh today at odds of 4-1. Just to go through some of the tipsters that are backing this today, Ruby Walsh himself in the Examiner tips this not only as a single but suggests you do it as part of a double. Pat Keane of the Examiner suggests this as an each way bet, while Chris Cook in the Guardian has it as his nap of the day. You've also got Brian Flanagan of the Star, Robbie Power who's riding in the Herald, and Johnny Burke in the Mail backing Classical Dream. Kind of an outsider here at 12-1, Vision Donaire is getting a bit of backing as well. Tommy Lyons, Gordon Elliott, Jack Kennedy, Peter O'Hare and Ed Chamberlain in the Daily Telegraph are all mentioning Vision Donaire, so that's one to keep an eye on at odds of 12-1. Now, in the 10:2, which is the Arkle Hardline, is the horse that's got most of the tips today across the newspapers. So at odds of 5-1, you're looking at this. It's going to be it's a Gordon Elliott trained horse, ridden by Davy Russell later on. You've got the likes of Wayne Bailey, Matt Chapman, Gordon Elliott himself tipping this. Davy Russell tips it. Jack Kennedy tips it. Sam Turner in the Mail, Chris Cook in the Guardian,
What's
and
the horse?
Stuart Delamere in the Racing Post. Hardline at odds of 5-1. If you're looking for an outsider then in this race, kind of the second most tipped horse has been Glen Forza, but that's an even shorter priced horse at 4-1. But then at 11-1, Paloma Blue. Brian Flanagan in the Star, Robbie Power in the Herald, and Tom Segal in the Racing Post have mentioned Paloma Blue. So one to keep an eye on if you're looking for a bigger price. We will, by the way, keep you up to speed on how all of these tipsters get on throughout the course of the week, so no pressure on any of them. The 250 then is a bit of a mix. It's hard to actually get any sort of consensus. And in
What time is the first race going to post?
1:30.
Okay.
At 10-3 then it's the handicap chase, and as I say there, it's hard to get a consensus on any of the kind of leading horses in this one. In fact, the two most tipped horses actually have 4 apiece for the tipsters across the newspapers. It's Q-Star Sivola at odds of 10-1 and Give Me a Copper at odds of 8-1. So Give Me a Copper is going to be ridden, it's a Paul Nicholls horse ridden by Cobden, and then Lizzie Kelly's on board Q-Star Sivola, and as I say, 10-1 and 8-1 respectively there. You've got Michael Verney backing Q-Star Sivola. Verney, you'll remember, had a very good Cheltenham last year. I think I just followed him from the Irish Independent and had a pretty good week.
Did he, yeah?
Yeah, he did. He had an excellent one. Steve Mullen of the Sun, Tom Segal of the Racing Post, and Ger Delamere in the Racing Post also backing that one. Then Give Me a Copper. Katie Walsh, who's riding in the Herald this week, has backed Give Me a Copper. Dave Mitchell in the Mirror, Peter O'Hare in the Mirror, and Megan Nichols in the Sun backing that. Outside of that then, as I say, you can't really pick anybody stand out from the tipsters this morning. Up for review, Beware the Bear, Mr. Whitaker and Noble Endeavour all picking up a couple of tips as well across the newspapers. The 1/3, the big one, the Champion Hurdle. This one is a different story. It really is 2, 3 maybe horse
Apple's
race
Jade.
according to the tipster. So Apple's Jade is the most backed horse here at odds of 15-8. That is of course the Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy's going to be on board Apple's Jade for Gordon Elliott. Bouverdare has got a few names behind it today at odds of 9-4. So you've got Michael Verney on Bouverdare in the Irish Independent. Robbie Power and Aidan Coleman both riding in the Herald, and Katie Walsh in the Herald as well have backed Bouverdare. So a lot of Herald love for Bouverdare this morning. Sam Turner in the Mail and Chris Cook in the Guardian also backing that. But interestingly, you've got Lorena at odds of 7-2 also in this one, and the handicapping may work in her favour. Brian O'Connor in the Irish Times saying that perhaps she's been completely undervalued going into this race. It might be interesting to get more of an expert view on that a little bit later on in the show. So you've got Brian O'Connor, Pat Keane at the Examiner tips Lorena as an each way bet, Matt Chapman in the Sun and Johnny Burke in the Mail backing that. But as I say, Apple's Jade, about a dozen tipsters there this morning, including the likes of Gordon Elliott and Davy Russell and Jack Kennedy himself saying it's his nap of the day. I like the way a jockey says a horse that he's riding is his nap of the day. I like that confidence. The 10 past 4 then is the Mayor's Hurdle, and there's really only one horse to look at here if you're looking for a winner. It is the Willie Mullins, Ruby Walsh, Benny Desdu, I should say, like at even odds. When I actually opened it up this morning, having looked at this horse being mentioned everywhere over the past couple of days.
Like, whoa, I'm going to get rich on this.
Well, no, not at all. I was like, you can't, this is going to be like 10 to 1 on or something like that, but it's actually evens at the moment. If you want an outsider on this, if you're somehow looking for an each way bet, Gordon Elliott in the Sun is happy with the signs Lackanine Leader has been showing at odds of 66-1. Robbie Power in the Herald mentions Alatrix also at the same odds, while Tom Segal in the Racing Post mentions an each way bet on Momella. Couple of horses there if you want to look elsewhere from Benny Dedu, according to the newspapers this morning. And then just the last couple of races, the novices handicap chase at 10-5. Cubomania has got most of the tips. More tips than any other horse, I should say, in the newspapers this morning. 5 tips coming from the likes of Tommy Lyons, Gordon Elliott, Davy Russell, Aidan Coleman and Katie Walsh at odds of 14-1. That's the 450. It's another Gordon Elliott horse. Davy Russell is going to ride it. You've also got Tower Bridge getting a bit of backing as well at odds of 8-1. I think that's the favourite in the novices handicap chase. And then finally, at 5:30, OK Corral is the horse that seems to be standing out. I called this OK Corral before we came on air. You were going to ask me.
You were like, what's that? What's OK? Why is it OK Corral?
Stop Wild West shaming me. Wild West lack of information shaming me. OK Corral at odds of 4-1 in the Amateur Riders Novices Chase. OK Corral, it's Nicky Henderson horse. Derek O'Connor is going to ride it, and the likes of Michael Verney, Wayne Bailey also in the Irish Independent, Brian Flanagan in the Star, Robbie Power in the Herald, Aidan Coleman in the Herald, Ed Chamberlain in the Telegraph, amongst many others backing this. Not the favourite at all. The favourite is 11-4 favourite Bally Ward. Ruby Walsh himself is tipping that in the Irish Examiner as part of a double. Brian O'Connor in the Irish Times and Katie Walsh in the Herald backing that. So that's
never got into westerns.
Never got into westerns. I don't really. I do get it.
Unforgiven?
No.
You didn't like it? You haven't seen it?
Haven't seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Unforgiven's very good.
Okay, I'll make sure to watch it. Who's in Unforgiven?
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood. Well, of course he is. Like, if there is a western that exists, Clint Eastwood is in it. Is that just or John Wayne?
Like, Unforgiven won about 4 Oscars. It was 20 years after he made his last proper western. Mm-hmm. There's a period of westerns where Sergio Leone makes them late 60s, early 70s, and they're mad and wild and brilliant. Bob Dylan's in one of them. And then they disappear because everybody thought these are shite.
Maybe they were right.
They made too many of them. The rip-offs were too many. And then Clint directs and stars in this revenge thriller. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Well, I'll take your word for it. Just because it's won Oscars doesn't mean it's an amazing movie, though.
That's true, Owen. I mean, that's the hottest of hot takes right there. But in the case...
Like Avatar won a load of Oscars and it's absolutely appalling.
In the case of Unforgiven, it stands the test of time. Let's move on. Right, those Cheltenham tips and the tip busting will happen for you every day, every morning, or at least as long as Owen can sustain the amount of work that it took this morning to do that.
It took a lot of work.
Anthony Moyes is in the studio with us next. We bring you our spring edition of the top 10 footballers in the country.